Well, yes, calendar year 2025 was very subdued year for Indian metal stocks and metal companies, and we ended the year on a very subdued and lackluster note. But remember, calendar year 2026 has started on a very strong footing. But first up, let's talk about how last year panned out. Remember, demand from infrastructure, from auto, from real estate was on the lower side, so that weighed heavy on volume growth of auto and steel companies. We also had steel prices that were on the lower side. Of course, they've started picking up since the last week of December, but in calendar year 2025, steel prices clearly were on the lower side. But remember, demand is expected to inch higher in 2026. This is on account of higher demand from auto sector, from real estate, from infrastructure and from housing, and that is likely to aid volume growth for the entire steel sector in calendar year 2026. Let's also talk about margins, because they are largely expected to remain tight. The demand supply dynamics is not in favor of metal companies. We are expecting higher supply to play out in the steel sector in calendar year 2026, so keep an eye out on this factor as well. Let's talk about prices, and as I mentioned, steel prices have started rising in the last week of December after a subdued year. Demand recovery is also likely to take place on account of higher demand from across sectors, and that is also another positive that you need to keep an eye out on. Let's talk about steel prices in particular. Rebar prices have risen by about 3% on a month-on-month basis in the month of December. HRC prices have risen by 2% on a month-on-month basis in the month of December, and followed by another price hike in January as well, and we have seen a couple of other price hikes flow in the latter part of January. So clearly 2025 was a subdued year. Demand was on the lower side, iron ore and other raw material costs were on the higher side, which weighed heavy on margins. But 2026 clearly has started on a very strong footing for Indian steel stocks, and steel prices and volumes are expected to inch higher.